In this episode, we are looking at a group of mobile support topics that often confuse new learners because the device may appear to be working while the user is still unable to do what they need to do. A phone or tablet can turn on, connect to a network, and open apps, yet still have problems with location, work email, company rules, or missing data that never seems to update correctly. That can make support feel frustrating at first, especially when the user says everything was fine yesterday and nothing obvious looks broken today. The good news is that these problems become much easier to understand when you break them into a few simple ideas. A device needs the right settings, the right permissions, the right account details, and sometimes the right company policy in place before it can behave the way the user expects. When one of those pieces is missing or blocked, the problem may look random, but it usually has a clear reason once you know where to look. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at CyberAuthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Location services are a good place to start because many apps depend on them, even when the user does not realize it. A map app is the most obvious example, but ride apps, weather apps, camera apps, delivery apps, and many company tools also need to know where the device is or where it has been. Mobile devices estimate location in several ways, including satellites, nearby networks, and cell signals, and they combine that information to decide where the user probably is. Because of that, location is not just one switch tied to one piece of hardware. A device may still know its rough area even when it cannot get a very exact position, or it may give accurate results outdoors and weaker results indoors. For a beginner, the important point is that a location problem does not always mean the device is broken. Sometimes the device is simply missing permission, struggling with its surroundings, or being told by a policy that location use is limited. Users often describe location issues in everyday language, and that language can hide the real cause. Someone may say the map is wrong, the app cannot find them, check-in fails at work, or delivery tracking never updates the way it should. Those complaints all sound similar on the surface, but they can point to different causes once you slow down and think about what the app is trying to do. If the app never sees the device location at all, the problem may be that location services are turned off or the app was denied access. If the app gets a rough area but not an exact spot, the device may be indoors, in a dense building, under heavy cloud cover, or in a place where nearby signals are not helping very much. If one app fails while others work, that usually pushes your thinking toward an app-level setting, account issue, or permission problem rather than a full device failure. The goal is to listen for the pattern behind the complaint instead of reacting only to the first words the user chooses. Permissions matter because mobile devices are designed to control what each app is allowed to use. A location app cannot simply take access whenever it wants, and the same idea applies to the camera, microphone, contacts, files, and other sensitive parts of the device. If a user taps no or deny when an app asks for location access, the app may keep running but fail at one of its most important jobs. That can make the app seem unreliable even though the device is actually protecting the user by following the chosen permission setting. Some devices also allow different levels of location access, such as access only while the app is open or access all the time, and that difference can affect how background tracking, reminders, and work check-in features behave. For support purposes, it helps to think of permissions as doors that can be open, partly open, or closed. When an app suddenly loses a feature after an update, a reinstall, or a new sign-in, one of the first things to consider is whether that door is still open for the app that needs it. Business environments add another layer because companies often manage mobile devices with mobile device management, MDM. MDM is a way for an organization to set rules, push settings, approve apps, protect business data, and reduce the chance that users accidentally weaken security on a phone or tablet used for work. To a new technician, MDM can feel invisible at first because the device may look like an ordinary phone, but it can still be following company rules in the background. Those rules might control password strength, lock screen timing, app installation, camera use, data sharing, or whether work information is allowed to move into personal apps. This matters because a user may think a feature is broken when it is actually blocked on purpose. A company may disable certain options to protect data, and the device is doing exactly what it was told to do. Good support means knowing when the device has a fault and when the device is simply obeying a managed policy. Once you understand what MDM does, many confusing work phone problems start to make more sense. A user may say they cannot install an app, cannot copy information from one app to another, cannot save a file where they want, or cannot turn off a security setting that keeps coming back after they change it. Those are often signs that the device is under company management rather than signs of a damaged device. In a business setting, the organization may decide which apps are approved, which email accounts can be added, how data is stored, and whether personal and business information can mix on the same device. That is useful for security, but it can feel restrictive to the user if nobody explained why the limits are there. A beginner technician should learn to ask whether the device is company managed and whether the feature is blocked everywhere or only inside work apps. That simple question can save a lot of time because it separates a real malfunction from a rule that was set on purpose by the organization. Synchronization is another topic that sounds technical at first, but the basic idea is simple. Sync means keeping the same information updated across places so that email, contacts, calendars, files, and other data stay consistent between the device and the account they belong to. When sync works well, the user adds a meeting on one device and sees it appear on another, or reads an email on a tablet and finds it already marked as read on a phone. When sync breaks, people often describe it as missing data, stale information, or a device that seems to be stuck in the past. For beginners, it helps to remember that sync depends on a healthy connection, the correct account, and permission for the device and service to exchange information. If any one of those pieces is wrong, the user may still have some old data stored on the device, which can make the problem harder to spot because it looks partly alive instead of fully failed. Many sync problems come from simple account mistakes rather than from deep technical failure. A user may sign in with the wrong account, turn off syncing for one data type, hit a storage limit, or lose network access without realizing that new information has stopped moving between the device and the service. That is why contacts may appear on one device but not another, why calendar events may seem to vanish, or why email may look different on two devices that supposedly belong to the same person. It is also common for personal and work accounts to become mixed in ways that confuse the user, especially when the same phone carries both private and business information. A contact might be saved under one account while the user is looking in another, or a calendar might be hidden rather than deleted. Support gets easier when you treat sync problems as questions of source and path. Where is the correct data supposed to live, and does the device still have a working path to that source? Work email deserves special attention because it is one of the first features users notice when something is wrong with a business mobile device. If email is not arriving, not sending, or constantly asking the user to sign in again, the person often assumes the phone is broken even when the real issue is tied to the account or the company setup. Email depends on the right account details, the right sign-in state, permission for the device to use that account, and a working connection to the service behind it. If a password changes, a security rule is updated, or the approved app is removed or replaced, mobile email can suddenly stop behaving normally. Some users can still open old messages that were already stored on the device, which makes the failure harder to understand because it feels like email is half working. The technician has to separate stored content from live account access, because seeing old mail is not the same thing as having a healthy connection to the current mailbox. The pattern of an email complaint can tell you a lot if you listen carefully. A device that receives mail but cannot send it suggests a different kind of problem than a device that cannot sign in at all. A device that keeps asking for credentials may be dealing with changed account information, a missing approval step, or a company policy that the device no longer meets. A device that works on one network and not another may point toward a connection issue rather than an account problem. The same idea applies when only one mail app fails while the web version or another approved app still works. In a business environment, the company may require a certain app, a certain security level, or a certain enrollment state before email is allowed. That is why beginner technicians should avoid jumping straight to the idea that the mailbox itself is down. Very often, the issue is that the mobile device has lost the right to stay connected in the way it was connected before. Mobile app support can also feel messy until you reduce it to a few plain questions. Is the app installed? Does it open? Does it sign in? Does it have permission to use what it needs? And can it reach the network or stored data it depends on? Those questions sound basic, but they are powerful because many app complaints fall into one of those categories. A user may say the app is broken when the real issue is that the app never finished updating, the account inside the app signed out, the camera permission was denied, or the device is too full of stored data for the app to behave normally. In a business setting, some apps are managed separately from personal apps, and that can affect what they are allowed to do. A work app may open but fail to share a file into a personal app, not because it is damaged, but because the organization decided that business data must stay inside the managed area of the device. Permissions and policy often meet in mobile app support, and that is where many beginners get lost at first. An app may need location, notifications, file access, camera access, or background activity to do its job correctly, but the user or the company may have limited one or more of those abilities. When that happens, the app may still open and seem mostly normal while one important feature keeps failing. For example, a work app might not alert the user at the right time if background activity is limited, or a field service app may not record the user's job site correctly if location access is blocked. In a managed environment, the app might also depend on the device remaining enrolled and compliant with company rules. If the device falls out of that approved state, the app can lose access to company data even though nothing looks physically wrong. That is why strong support work includes asking what the app needs, what it is allowed to use, and whether company rules are changing how it behaves. For new technicians, the best way to handle these mobile support issues is to stay calm and think in a simple order. First, decide whether the problem belongs to the whole device, one account, or one app. Next, think about whether the needed feature is turned on and whether the app or service has permission to use it. After that, consider whether a company rule is shaping the behavior, especially if the device is used for work. Finally, ask whether the data or service is actually syncing or connecting the way it should. This order helps because it keeps you from treating every confusing complaint like a mystery. A location failure, an email sign-in loop, a missing calendar event, and a managed app restriction may all feel different to the user, but they become easier to sort out when you keep asking the same basic questions about settings, permissions, accounts, and policy. Another useful habit is to remember that the user usually sees only the last thing that failed, not the chain of causes behind it. A person may complain that the map is wrong, but the real issue is that location permission was denied 2 days earlier. A worker may say their email is gone, but the real issue is that the device lost its managed status after a password or security change. Someone may think an app is defective when the app is only missing access to files, notifications, or network connectivity. This is why beginner-friendly support is not about showing off technical terms. It is about translating the problem into plain cause and effect. What does the app or service need in order to work, and which one of those needed pieces is missing right now? That way of thinking keeps the support process clear and helps you explain the problem in language the user can understand. By now, the main idea should be clear. Location services, MDM, sync, email setup, and mobile app support are not random topics sitting next to each other. They are connected by one simple truth, which is that mobile devices work best when settings, permissions, account details, and business rules are all aligned. When one of those pieces falls out of place, the device may still look healthy while the user starts losing access to important functions one by one. A beginner technician does not need to panic when that happens. The right response is to slow down, keep the language simple, and check whether the feature is allowed, whether the right account is present, whether data is still syncing, and whether company management is shaping the result. That approach makes mobile support far less confusing, and it helps you solve problems in a way that feels clear to the user instead of making the device seem mysterious or unpredictable.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.